Welcome back to Mindy and the Mic from Stigma to Connection. Today, I am joined by Jack Harrison, who is a UK-based ultra athlete who's pushing the boundaries of what the human body and mind can really handle. I don't know if you like running. I know I like running, but this conversation was pretty interesting just because, I run 5Ks, maybe half marathons, and maybe once in every 5 years a marathon. But this guy, he has done it all from skiing 200 kilometers through the Arctic Circle to ice skiing 100 kilometers in Finland. Jack isn't just chasing finish lines, he's chasing mental clarity, resilience, and growth. In this episode, we talk about how endurance sports can become a powerful tool for mental health, helping you decompress, face your fears, and build the kind of inner grit that carries into every part of life. Whether you're an athlete, a therapist, or someone that's just trying to push through the hard stuff, Jack's story is a reminder that our limits are just invitations to go deeper than the surface. And hey, if you believe the power of these conversations and want to help keep the show growing, you can support the podcast on Patreon. And every dollar goes to editing, equipment, and making sure these stories reach the people who need them. And trust me, it does not go to me. We are a nonprofit, if that. But I hope you enjoy this episode. I'm Mindy, and I have a microphone. So this must be Mindy and the Mic from Stigma to Connection. Let's have a conversation. Jack, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast today. I'm Mindy and the Mic. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Mindy. How are you?
Good. I know. What time is it there again?
It's just gone 9:30, so quite late, quite dark.
Yeah. It's crazy because where I am at, it's actually 3:30 p.m. So that's a pretty big indication that we're in a different time zone. Nonetheless, probably a different continent.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm in York in the UK. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. I don't know, you probably know about the United States. I don't doubt that, but just do you know where Nebraska is?
Roughly, yeah. I've never been, but I've been to the US. Been to the US a few times.
Yeah. And then I know that last time we talked, you did a competition, right? A ski competition?
Yeah, last time we spoke, I was actually in Lapland in Sweden, and I was there for the longest cross-country ski race in the world, which is 220 kilometers. It was the night before it, actually. We started that morning at 1:30 in the morning, heading towards the race to get everything done. And I think we had a call at about maybe 7 or something. So yeah, it was literally right before it.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons I wanted Jack on my podcast today, because he is would you say you're an extreme athlete? Extreme sport athlete?
Something along those lines. I usually get extreme sport, ultra endurance, something with those kind of phrases with it.
Yeah. How did you start doing this? What made you want to get into it? Did you grow up playing sports? I know that was a lot of questions.
Yeah. No, I definitely grew up playing sports, but it was always sort of your generic ones, the ones you do at school, your short distance, under an hour kind of stuff. And it started for me with everything just being about competition and trying to win. And it sort of stayed that way up until about 21, mainly focusing on triathlon was the thing that I really did pursue. From about the age of 14 to 21, I really pursued that. And yeah, it was all about winning. And then I kind of just got to 21 and it got to a point where it was sort of make or break. If I wanted to get any better, it would have had to have been full time. And if I was just going to keep doing what I was doing, I could expect a lot of just similar results. So I kind of decided to just move away from that, always trying to win. And that sort of led me to where I am now, just doing the ultra stuff. And the reason I've really taken to this is just because it is more you versus you. Because once you start these really long races, for starters, there's less people because obviously it's a more niche market. And then once you get going, if it's over 20, 40 hours or however long, the pack and the field will be so spread out that there's a chance that you might literally just be on your own for the whole race, which has happened before.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really is more of a personal thing, and you get out of it what you put into it as well. So it's a lot easier on your lifestyle. You're not constantly looking at what other people are doing and think if I need to beat them in this, I need to train 30 hours a week. You can just take it down to what you're able to do. Maybe I've got 10 hours, I'll utilize that time and I'll use that to finish whatever I'm doing, and it just suits the lifestyle a lot more. It's a lot more forgiving, I would put it.
Yeah, yeah. What was your first ultra race? Where was it?
It was actually quite early on, and it wasn't really even meant to be a thing. It was Ironman Bolton, so an Ironman triathlon. I was already doing triathlon at the time, and one of my friends, he was quite a lot older than me. He was 32, and he'd signed up for it, and everyone was saying, "Oh, are you going to do it with him?" And I don't really know why. I had no intention of doing it, and I just kind of got roped into it. 19 years old to do an Ironman is it's young as well. I think I was one like third youngest out of a couple of thousand people.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
yeah, it probably. I'm not advocating that. It wasn't the smartest thing I've ever done, but that was definitely my first look into it. It was 10 and a half hours. Um,
10 and a you just keep running and there's no stopping.
Yeah, well, I felt okay until the run. It was the run that really got me, just through lack of knowing what I was getting myself into. Really, I think swimming and cycling's a bit more forgiving on your joints and everything. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
definitely my first look, and I never really touched it for quite a few years after that, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Oh
So
my goodness, though. Like 10 hours of just mere running, and then they probably feed you, though, I assume. They have to.
yeah, yeah, definitely. A lot of these races are actually really good. If it What makes them more appealing than just doing challenges on your own in a way, because they sort out all the logistics. And if I take the Ironman for example, there'd be food stops on the run I think it was every 5 kilometers for a marathon. On the bike it's maybe every 20 kilometers. The ski race I just did, they were every 15 kilometers. So they are really good, and I'm yet to do one where I've thought that's been terribly run. But then there's the other side of it as well. And once you get into the really, really extreme stuff, it'll be self supported probably. So carrying everything you need for the whole duration of it. And that really is a different ball game.
So you did your first one at 19, and how many have you done since then?
God, since then, it only really started in 2023 for me, to be honest. And
Okay.
that started with a trip to the Alps, and I just had my mind set on a few mountains that I wanted to climb, and did a couple, was really enjoying it, and I just kept doing them. And that 2023 really for me was sort of the year of mountaineering, and then 2024, and then the start of this year was when I was like, right, maybe I could transfer this into other sports, and I just fell in love with it, regardless of what the sport was, just with the love of long endurance racing. The only other
Yeah.
thing I did when I was younger was I swam Lake Windermere, which is the longest lake in England. 11 mile that was. 5 hours 45 I think it took me. Did that when I was 22 maybe. But yeah,
Yeah.
aside from them two when I was younger, everything's really begun recently.
Wow. Wow. So I don't know if you answered my question, but how many ultras have you done?
Yeah, I'm struggling to answer that, to be honest. Well,
It's okay.
we're probably looking at, must be near 20,
Oh
near
my
20,
goodness.
something like that. Or do you mean ultras in terms of running or
Uh,
everything? I would class an ultra as like every sport kind of has a distance.
that's true.
For running, that's obviously a marathon. Anything more is an ultra. I kind of
Yeah.
class in cycling anything over 100 mile ultra. Every sport has like a sort of a benchmark where once you get over that, it becomes like that ultra territory. In terms of
Yeah.
running, not many, only a couple, but in terms of everything, probably
But
going on
still, the
20.
fact that you've done probably at least 5 sports, doing the ultra marathon, ultra length amount of that sport, it's just insane to me.
Yeah,
The mental discipline and the mental just capacity that you have to have in order to complete it too. And I assume that you train, right?
yeah, I definitely train. I'm quite fortunate. I say this to a lot of people, and it's sort of something I've kind of termed is never start at zero. So
Mm,
from all the training I did when I was younger, I've sort of always maintained a baseline, even if it's just through 3 4 hours training a week, or sometimes even less than that. I've always tried to keep something, so I've never dropped right back down to my foundation, which I think helps massively. and I still maintain that now. But compared to the hours I was training when I was 21, I'm nowhere near that. I used to train 20 hours a week consistently all year round, and I'm lucky if I get 10 in nowadays, really. So I just have to
Would you get paid? I feel like you should get paid for this amount of time you put into
yeah,
training.
God, I'd love that. I'd love that. Maybe that is the end goal, to be honest. We'll see.
Yeah.
After a few more, my year's going well this year. A few more races, a bit more media. We'll see how I get on.
Yeah, yeah, because I know you've been featured in a lot of different, like, newspapers and then probably interviews, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I've done a few podcasts now. The main thing is sort of yeah, newspapers and just online media.
Yeah.
Yahoo News, I think it is, loves reposting a story about me. And I've got a few talks with the press coming up this week too about some
Oh
stuff
my
I've done.
goodness.
So yeah, hopefully if things go well, maybe we'll get there.
Yeah, yeah, but you probably use some of these races to just help you decompress and probably your mental health too, just so you can, like, decompress or even just, like, process or even I don't know, it's probably fun in some sense too. You probably get some dopamine highs from running.
Yeah, it's that type 2 fun, isn't it? Where at the time you're like, "Am I enjoying this?" But then when you finish it, you love it, and then next thing you know, you're planning another, and you're like, "Why am I even doing this?" But yeah, definitely the type 2 fun, and I would absolutely do this if there was never going to be any financial gain or it was leading to something. I think it's one of the best ways you can learn about yourself, really, because there isn't many other ways in life that you can really push yourself out of your comfort zone in such a safe manner and sort of so easily as well. It's very easy to just go online, find a race, book it, turn up to it. Whereas if you were to push yourself out of your comfort zone in a lot of other ways, it's quite hard to do sometimes if you're thinking along the lines of public speaking and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I do think it definitely has its benefits. Whether I use it to decompress, that's an interesting one. Maybe without thinking about it, yeah, I guess I do, because it sounds weird, but the easiest part of the race is probably the race itself. Like once you've set off,
Yeah.
all the worries gone, all the stress of preparing for it, all the anxiety. It's time to just do it, isn't it? And I guess that is the decompression bit.
Yeah, yeah. Do you ever get performance anxiety? I know of skiing, like, there's some tactical skill, you're not just, like, running. But even in running, I feel like there's that pressure to, like, be first or even, like, have a certain PR, but I guess you're really competing against yourself as well.
I've actually managed to drill that out of me nowadays, and I was really bad for that when
Good.
I first started because I had a few years where I didn't really race at all. Um,
Mhm.
and I was still in that mindset of it's all about 20 hours a week training and coming first, nothing else matters. And I would get like that. I get super nervous on the start line. I've sort of just drilled it out of myself. And it's just helpful to, well, it's actually been helpful doing all these different sports that, because when I turn up to a ski race, I know there's no chance of me winning. Like, I'll actually be lucky if I don't come last just because in some of the Scandinavian countries, they do it in PE from when they're sort of 4 years old. And
Yeah.
obviously, from the UK where it's very hard to ski, there's no chance of you winning, and that kind of does. I think that actually helped just knowing that because it's not even a worry at that point. It's more just about, like you said, it's you and just doing the best you can. But I definitely get some form of performance anxiety in terms of it's more like, are you capable of doing the race? Because I don't really do races that I know I can finish. Every race I'm kind of going into it and it's 50-50 on how I'm going to do. Just because when it's over such a long space of time, anything can happen. But even just going into sort of the unknown, because you've never done that distance before, you've never done that length of time before.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's unknown, and there's definitely some sort of performative fear about that for sure. But I think it's
I
quite
feel like
healthy in a way.
it's better. I don't know if it's better. Everyone will have their opinion on this, but even just, like, if you went into a race knowing that you can beat it, knowing that you can be a little bit cocky about it, I feel like you may just, like, kinda, not treat it as competitively as one would compared to, like, if you go in at 50-50, I have no idea what's gonna happen at the end of it. I feel like there's a lot more heart behind that.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely, and that's where all the growth is too, really, isn't it? In
Yeah.
wondering if you can do something, worry about it, learning that you can do it, and then sort of progressing on. If I'm just doing stuff I know I can do, unless I'm trying to win, there's not really that side of the personal growth to it that I quite like.
Yeah. What do you think of when, like, your body's, like, literally screaming to stop during some of these races?
Yeah, everyone asks that, and it's definitely not one thing. I'll use sort of any tactic I can to try and ease the sort of mental burden that you can be under, and it's not usually people think it would just get progressively worse in a race, and it's definitely
Mhm.
not the case. It comes and goes. You'll go through phases where you're like, I'm hurting now. And then maybe you'll get through that and then you'll feel fine again. And it always comes and goes. And the best way I've come to look at it and make it feel better is just trying to think about it as logically as possible. So, for instance, if I take that ski race I just did at 150 kilometers in, getting close to 20 hours in anyway, it's getting dark, it's getting really cold. We're both hungry. We're now really tired because we've been up over 24 hours. And yeah, my friend turned to me and he's saying, if you want to pack it in, I'll pack it in. And
Mm.
I don't even really think he meant it. Like, he's not that kind of guy who would do that, but it was more of just, it was an option. And I think we just started thinking about it logically. We were like, well, in training, we know we can ski 15 kilometers easy. That's just a regular day. So we were like, well, that would be the next food stop. And then we won't be hungry anymore. And then if we just do another 15 kilometers, which we can do all the time, then we're at like one of the teepees and it's warm there. And just trying to
Yeah.
break it down into really small bits. And eventually you can sort of talk your way through it and just be like, it's actually okay. A lot of the time, too, when it's dark as well, it really plays on your mind for some reason. I'm not sure why. As soon as the sun came up, we had no pain. It felt like we just started the race again. But going through the night, it really does add to you somehow. Again, it's
Mhm.
like if you were to just go walk outside in the dark, it wouldn't really bother you. But then for some reason, when you're racing and it's dark, it's quite intimidating. I don't know. Again, it's just your mind playing on you. So just trying to talk it through.
They take it one step at a time.
Yeah, quite a powerful thing actually. What got me through that one was I started imagining going home and telling people that I gave up at 150 kilometers in, and
Yeah.
that to me was a no-brainer. As soon as I thought of that, I was like, "Yeah, there's no option. We are finishing this." Because again, if you're picturing that moment, it's hard to give up. Whereas in the moment, you're not thinking about anything. It's fairly easy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a certain, like, race that feels most like home to you or you just have become the most familiar with? Running, skiing, mountain biking?
um, I would have said triathlon, but I've not really dabbled in that for a while.
Yeah.
That's obviously the one I've probably done over 50 triathlons in my life now, so it should definitely be that without a doubt. But I wouldn't even say it was because I've chopped and changed so much. Yeah, everything feels like the unknown, and again with those distances changing every time, everything's a new experience, and it almost feels like even if you're doing the same discipline, once you add that bit of extra distance and time, you've got different food with you, you're wearing different kit, you're on maybe a different bit of equipment, even though it's the same sport. Everything feels different anyway, so I wouldn't really say there is, to be honest. I'd say
Okay.
swimming's maybe the only one that's kind of a constant.
I think that that's the one that really intimidates me. I haven't done a triathlon, but I feel like I've done, like, marathons and, like, I've done 1 marathon, not as much as you have, but I've done a lot of half marathons, and, like, I can get the running down, I could probably do the biking, but the swimming one really just, like, not freaks me out, but intimidates me
Yeah, well,
because it's a whole different kind of cardio.
I guess it's at the start, isn't it? So get it out the way early, and you'll be on your way.
Mhm.
Is it the open
Yeah.
water that scares you, or the pool?
I think, like, just, like, with running, I can, like, practice my breathing, get my steps in line, like, even just have a good mindset about it, but with swimming,
Mm,
I just haven't done it, like, I haven't
yeah,
practiced, I haven't been in situations like, I took swimming classes when I was, like, 5, but, like, I just don't naturally go and, "Oh, let's go swimming for exercise," like, and And where I'm from, you have to like literally, unless you live on the coast, you have to like go to a gym and go into the pool to like in order to get that swimming experience for
Yeah.
exercise.
Well, they always say with triathlon, you get triathletes who are either a swimmer who's converted or a runner and a cyclist who's learned to swim. And I would say that's almost always true most of the time. You can sort of tell.
How do you not lose focus, or how do you not get so burnt out?
I've never really struggled too much with the focus side of it because for me, the focus comes from I'll just book the race, and once I've sort of booked the race, then I'm kind of locked in. It's like a sort of internal commitment, isn't it? That if you've said you're going to do something, then it's happening. And there's lots of ways that you can sort of encourage that too, like telling people, for example, if I tell 10 people, then I do not want to be the guy who doesn't turn up to it after I've said it. So
Yeah.
the focus kind of comes from that. I don't worry about that too much. What was the burnout was the other side, wasn't it?
Yeah. I just feel like you're just go, 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 go.
Yeah, everyone says that to me, and I'm actually not, and I wouldn't even I actually wouldn't even say I have more energy than the average person. To be honest, it just feels
Okay.
like I don't know. It feels like maybe I have more of a reason, and I just kind of I definitely as I've got older, I listen to myself more now, my body and stuff with my training. When I was younger, it would just be that's your week of training, get it done regardless, and it kind of led to a lot of injuries and a lot of struggle at turning up to every race with niggles and stuff. Whereas I do definitely listen a lot more nowadays, and I don't get bent out of shape now if I miss a session.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
guess that comes as well from the longer distances instead of always trying to be first. So another reason I kind of
I feel like too with the longer races, you just have time to reflect and think, and like you can't push yourself like personally of like, oh, I want to beat this PR. I want to accomplish this goal. But I feel like there's a lot more ease compared to like some of the other team sports or some of the other like super competitive sports too. So I get that.
yeah, team sports. I've never really. I love them. I love playing them for fun with my friends and stuff like that. But competitively, I always find them difficult. I think a lot of people do in the sense that you're
Hmm.
reliant on someone else to turn up when you're there. So it's not as easy as just you getting there. And then it's, are you a similar ability? If not, are you going to feel hard done by if they're better or they're worse? And there's just a few more complications. But in a lot of ways, they're a lot more fun, aren't they? Because, I mean, quite a lot of the races I've done, I've turned up on my own, finished on my own, driven home on my own. And comparing that to winning a game with 12 of your friends, it's obviously not even comparable, is it? The one with your
Yeah.
friends is far more fun, but they both have the positives and negatives, don't they?
What's your favorite team sport to play? Football, I'm assuming.
Football when I was younger, yeah. Until I was
Uh huh.
about 11, I was mad for it. That was the only thing I did really, all day, every day, and then yeah, it kind of fizzled out for those reasons I've just said.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have a team sport?
I used to play basketball. So in America, they just had March Madness. So me and my boyfriend got to go to the final championship game, and so that was really fun to see because we're in San Antonio, Texas, with like over 66,000 people watching the basketball game.
Yeah, I'd love to go watch one in America actually, and it's been on my tick list for a while. It's not as big in the UK basketball, so
Yeah, no, my boyfriend wants to go to the World Cup because he really loves football.
oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. You explored over 80 countries. What is one place that you really love?
Yeah, I think I'm up to a bit more than that actually now. I think I'm just over 90 now. But
Oh my
one place I
goodness.
love, there's so many and all for different reasons. But one that definitely has my heart is the Dolomites in Italy. I feel
Mhm.
like there's very few places in the world that are like that. And even if you just type in Dolomites Italy into Google Images, you've probably seen your screensaver from your computer on there loads of times because it is just that picturesque. It feels unreal when you're there. Have you been?
That's so fun. I have not been to Europe.
Oh no way. Well, if you
Yeah,
do, get that on the list
uh,
for sure. for
I
sure.
want to. I think that's something that it's on my bucket list. I've been to Africa and I've been to Haiti, but those are the only 2 places that I've been out of the country. And I'm originally adopted from China, but
Oh
Europe
no.
was the only place that I have not been to.
Yeah, well, definitely the Dolomites. One of my favourites as well, actually. I'm not sure where you've been in Africa, but there's a point where the Zambezi River goes through, and you've got Zimbabwe and Zambia. I can't remember the name, but it's where Victoria Falls are, I believe.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
also one of my favourite places that I've ever been. There's just so much to do, so many options, so many countries that you can go to on a day trip. A really amazing place, that.
Does, like, switching time zones ever mess you up when you're, like, racing? Or, like, your
Um,
sleep schedule?
Yeah, out of everything I struggle with, sleep is definitely the main one. And it's not, I don't struggle to sleep at all. I actually sleep perfectly once I'm asleep. It's just actually getting the sleep in, really, because I probably overdo it in all the things I do. And again, I travel almost every weekend somewhere. I don't think there's very many weekends I've actually spent in my house. So even if I'm just moving around the UK, I'm still doing sort of 3, 4 hour drives. So yeah, it's probably something I need to work on a bit more. And I do. I try and book flights where you get a bit more and stuff. But time zones I've never been too bad with. I usually try and do a little bit of. I read this when I was young, and someone said that if you train like for maybe not even long after you land somewhere, it always seems to help with it. And I've sort of employed that a little bit, just sort of 20 minutes of movement exercise when I get somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like that would probably mess me up if I were traveling as much as you are and just doing all these races. I would be like, "Oh my goodness, my sleep schedule is not existent."
Yeah, it does take sometimes it does take a bit of getting back into, and it's definitely something that you don't want to mess with as well, isn't it? Because everyone knows as soon as you miss a couple of hours, you just feel terrible, don't you? And there's loads of facts about training and competing and sleep as well. And it was something I just read one the other day about running and sleep. And I think it was if you get under 7 hours sleep as like sort of a competitive amateur runner, it was crazy, something like 40% more likely to get injured, which
Oh, wow.
is a lot, isn't it?
That's that's insane. 40%.
I don't know about you, but under 7 hours for me, I would find quite hard to do consecutively on days sleep wise. Would you?
Yeah, I usually am like a 7.5 to, like, eight and
Yeah,
a half kinda person.
yeah. 7.5 for
So
me is the sweet spot.
yeah, and I get it too. I know in a lot of, like, team sports, like for basketball, I've heard of, like, players can't sleep usually the night before a big game, and so maybe they're up half the night, and then they end up playing the game that night, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness." Like,
Yeah,
not only do you have to, like, leverage all these different components of the game, but you're trying to run your body that's pretty exhausted too into the ground at some
yeah.
points.
That is
Yeah.
actually something I've had to work on. Because a lot of the races I'll have to get up super early to get there for the start of it. And then
Yep.
if it's going
Yep.
to be 20 hours, it just adds to how much you're not sleeping. And I have actually had to
Mhm.
work on that. And the best thing I found for that is something called the pilot sleep method. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have vaguely, but you can
Yeah,
remind me.
it's. I'll probably butcher it now, but from what
It's
I
okay.
remember of it, it was basically World War Two. Pilots were crashing their planes because they were just purely exhausted because they wanted them in the air all the time. So what they were doing was they were trying to teach them to fall asleep as fast as possible so that they could have more naps or just get to sleep better as soon as they stopped flying. And how
Hmm.
they did that, I can't remember the exact method they used, but sort of what I've combined with it and found to be the best way is you sort of just lay down and you go into almost a mindfulness state of just really deep breaths. And I just
Mhm.
start at the bottom at my feet. I just try and relax every single muscle. And with each breath, you try and relax that muscle. And by the time I'm at my head, I'm out every time. There's another one as well. Again, I don't know if this is related to the pilot sleep method, but there's one where you imagine your brain and all the thoughts that you're thinking about leaving it with every breath. And if I've done from head to toe and I'm still awake, I do that one. Just imagine all the thoughts just getting let out into sort of the atmosphere. And again, a couple of minutes and I'm gone.
Yeah, I feel like that'll be a good just like way to transition into sleep too, and also to just prepare you for your next race as well.
Yeah, well, I saw some studies on that too, and it was saying that if you use that method where you're sort of relaxing every muscle at a time, that had some sort of performative benefit, basically, because you want to be as relaxed as possible while you're sleeping, don't you? And there's no better way than to sort of consciously try and do it before you actually fall asleep. So
Yeah. Do you think when you were a kid, you would like when you were younger, did you imagine that you'd be doing all these races?
it depends what age, I guess. If we're going back to less than 10, absolutely not. If we go to between 11 and 21, probably not these long races, but I would
Okay.
have, I would have, yeah, the only thing I really ever wanted to be was a professional athlete. So I'd have definitely
Oh
been
yeah.
doing something. But yeah, I never thought it would have, definitely not the variety anyway. I never thought I would do a 100-kilometer ice skating race, for example. That was never something that ever crossed my mind. But
Wow. Did your feet hurt after that race?
it was actually one of the nicest races I've ever done. Like, I actually enjoyed, weirdly, I actually enjoyed every minute of that race because ice skating for most people is probably quite out of the ordinary experience, isn't it? It's something you only do on Christmas, and you usually just do a couple of laps with your family around a local ice rink. That's it done for another 12 months. But um, it's just a lovely feeling once you can do it and you can skate nicely. And you're thinking about every sort of skate as well. Your mind's just completely occupied for the whole thing because as soon as you stop thinking about your technique and how you're moving and your economy, you're just going to fall over. So yeah, there was no sort of pain during the race. It was purely just thinking
Wow.
about technique and just absolutely loving the sort of feeling of it. Yeah, honestly, one of the best sort of nicest races I've ever done. Yeah, and
Yeah, there's not any ice skating races around Nebraska.
no, well, same in the UK. That one I had to go to Finland to do. But
Okay.
if anyone, I'll actually say this: it's such a niche thing. But if anyone ever gets the chance to go to Finland and see where they do it, it's in a place called Kuopio, I think, if I
Okay.
pronounced that right. Basically, all the lakes freeze every single year, and that they create an ice skating track out of that. So it's 7.5 kilometers, this ice skating track. And then you can
Wow.
use it all year round as well. And people will just use it to like get to places. So I skated along it one day just to get to the shop to get some food. And then
Oh
I
wow.
skated home as well. So yeah, just even the novelty of that, and it's just lovely seeing all the families are out on it. There's kids playing ice hockey on it, and yeah, it's just quite surreal, really, and definitely if anyone gets the chance to do it, incredible. Yeah.
That sounds like only something I would see in the movie.
Yeah, well, it felt like I was in one. It did.
I feel it well, I don't feel, there's only one really, I guess, aesthetic ice skating rink in Omaha, at least, and it's, like, downtown, and it's just, like, one of your basic rinks that people
Mm.
can go in their family, and they just ride around or skate around, not ride, but they
Yeah.
just skate around in circles, and, it's very aesthetic because people go around at Christmas times, and there's, like, lights all around,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
mhm.
London's lovely over Christmas as well. They put up loads of ice skating rinks all around sort of the main buildings and all the fancy places, and sounds a little like that, to be honest. I bet there's some nice ones in New York as well, another place in
Yes.
America, isn't there?
Yeah. Have you been to America?
Yeah, I've done a bit of time in California, Arizona,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that might be it actually. Yeah, not too much time though. I've not explored as much as I want. It's definitely on the
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, I haven't visited that many well, I have visited some places in America. I live in the Midwest, but I would love to go on the
Mm.
East Coast. I've been to the West Coast, but not California, surprisingly.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. But
Yeah,
what do you think keeps you pushing forward? Just, like, curiosity, competition? Like, what
yeah,
makes you want to keep doing these races?
yeah. I think you actually kind of nailed it with that first one, and that is always my go to answer for that. Is curiosity really, and it's sort of
Mhm.
finding out how far you can actually go. And yeah, I feel like I don't want to jinx it, but I feel like I have quite a lot left. I mean, I always think when I'm doing the race that maybe that's the limit, but then I'm yet to not finish anything, which I've probably jinxed it there. But yeah, but maybe there is some more in the tank, and yeah, I would just love to know what I'm capable of. I think that's quite an empowering thing if you can start working through that. I also use these races as kind of a foundation for everything I do as well, just in
Hmm.
day to day, because you can look at past experiences and you can play on that. So, for example, if I get given a really tough task to do at work, and I'm thinking that's going to take 6 hours, and I've been given it at 7 p.m. at night, for example, I'm thinking that's going to go past midnight. I'm only going to get a few hours sleep, but immediately I'm just like, well, I know I can ski for 20 hours and not sleep all night. So it gives you a bit of sort of strength and confidence that you can kind of do anything. And yeah, I always go back to that. And you can lean on hard times that you've pushed through as well. And in these
Yeah.
races, you're bound to get them, and you can always just use them as a foundation. And they're there, and I feel like I can just sort of pick at them when I need them, just to remind myself I can do things. And that really is quite a nice feeling. And I always tell
Yeah.
people that too. I always try and get people involved in some sort of sport because it really does build your confidence without a doubt.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good, like, mental health hack too to be like, "Oh, I don't wanna go to work for 8 hours," but then if you, like, done a race for, like, 10 hours, you're like, "Wow, I can do this."
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, it probably comes up more than I think it does. But yeah, always lean on past experiences for bit of strength when you
Yeah.
need it.
And just the resiliency that you need to run a race or whether you're skiing for how many hours or whether you're running, swimming, hiking, biking,
Yeah,
put action or running verb here. But the resiliency that you need is just probably you probably built that up in the past few years even that you probably thought you never could do it and now you can do something, right? That's like the mindset that you have to have is like, "Oh, I actually can do this because I've done ABCD in the past."
yeah. I think resilience is basically what I just described, isn't it?
Mhm.
In a
Mhm.
way, I find it quite a weird term though, and it's become quite a big term, resilience, hasn't it? But I
Yeah.
don't know if it just comes from a magnitude of different sort of attributes that feed into it and build it, or if it is one specific thing you build. I'm sort of a bit undecided on that, but yeah, it's definitely something you get, um, without a doubt. And again,
Yeah.
I guess resilience comes from hard times in general, doesn't it? And it doesn't matter sort of how you give yourself that, whether you've been hungry in a race, whether you've been cold in a race. It comes from everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. But I think there's something about accomplishment about after completing such a hard task or like doing a marathon, you're like, "Oh wow, I did that."
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It is a great feeling knowing you did it, especially when you get a bit of sort of a mention like I get with the press sometimes. It makes it worth it.
Yeah. What's a challenge that you've never done but is still on your bucket list to do race wise?
Oh God, so many, so many. Well, yeah, I think what I'm sort of doing at the moment is I'm working through the really big ones. Just I feel like I'm 28 now, and I'm sort of getting to, well, what should be maybe my prime, whether it is or not, I don't know. But yeah, I'm working through the biggest stuff I can now, and eventually it's going to get to a point where maybe it'll be hard to work and do what I want to do, just because some of the biggest challenges you're getting on to 30 days, and you kind of asked what are the ones that I'm really looking forward to and like are at the forefront of my mind. And as an end goal, I think for me there's three that I see as the pinnacle of endurance racing, and one that's not actually a race, but I think is sort of the pinnacle of endurance is Mount Everest. So climbing Mount Everest,
Yep.
that's definitely been on there. The second one would be rowing the Atlantic.
Mhm.
Again, sort of a 30 to 45 day, uh, maybe more of an expedition, some people would say, but definitely up there. And then the Race Across America cycle race. Again,
Oh yeah, I know that one.
yeah, yeah, 30 odd days or whatever, and there's some crazy stories about that. So they're the big three for the end of my sort of ultra career at some point. But we'll see when it gets to that. I might have to
That
rethink what I do as a job if I'm going to do them, but we'll see.
Mhm. That's awesome though. How like I'm assuming that your friends and family support you 100% through all these endeavors?
Yeah, they without a doubt they think I'm I'm probably a bit crazy and stuff, but they are very supportive. And yeah, it took them a bit of getting used to. Every time I'd have some new piece of sports kit, or I'd say I'm going to do something, there was a few, why have you bought that? You're only going to use it once. Why would you want to do that? That kind of stuff. But then
Yeah.
people do eventually just get used to who you are. They even start to support you in it, really, and maybe even see you in a better light because of it as well. I do. I think I definitely get more respect now I've done these kind of things. It's good.
Do you race with your friends or family? Are you like, hey,
Never,
I'm going here this weekend. You should come.
never really family. I don't think that's the kind of thing any of my family would do. I would love them to. A few of them are a bit adventurous. They would probably come on something, to be honest. So, yeah, maybe I should pursue that a bit more. Friends, absolutely. Anything I
Mhm.
can get them to come to. Yeah, I love taking them. And I've actually started looking more now for sort of team relay endurance stuff because if you can get a few members together, then it's just so much better. I have a couple of friends who sort of join me for everything. One of them is Sam, who I did the ski race with recently. Although he, after that, he told me he was never doing a race with me again. But I'm hoping he's calmed down a little bit now. Andy beat me as well. So. But yeah, I definitely have a few friends that I rely on for it.
Yeah, he probably just said that right after the race was done, and then, like, give it, like, a week or a month, and he'll be like, "When's the next one?"
I'm hoping that. I'm also hoping if I don't drag him to a ski one, that he'll have he'll have forgotten how bad that was. But in
Yeah.
all fairness to him, I said there's nothing more you can do ski wise now. You've done the longest ski race in the world. There's nothing more you can do. So yeah, hopefully that relieved a bit of pressure on him.
How long did that take? The longest ski race in the world?
It took us 25 hours and 50 minutes, I think it was.
So
Yeah.
you didn't sleep? I'm assuming you didn't sleep on the skis.
No, unfortunately, we didn't get a sleep. Although, yeah, I don't think we'd have ever got going again if we'd have slept. I've had that in running races as well. If you sit down for just a bit too long, and it's quite a fine line too, everything seizes up, and then you're in big trouble. So yeah, the ski race, a lot of it was trying to just keep moving and not spend too long having breaks, which is not to Sam's liking, to be honest. He loves a good 30-minute sit down, but I was like, we can't. Um,
We have to keep going. We have to keep going.
yeah, that I think that was one of the biggest shocks with the ski. Really, it was just when it got to sort of like 10 p.m. your normal bedtime. When that came around, again, the mood definitely went from me and him are going along. We're chatting every so often. There's a little joke going in every now and then just to keep each other happy. And it suddenly went to about the next 3 hours. I don't think we spoke once. And that is just that mood dropping, isn't it? That your body's sort of like, what are you doing to me tonight? But
Yeah.
yeah, the sleep is a very hard bit of races for sure.
What would you tell someone if they were interested in, like, at least starting an ultra, whether it's a race, whether it's a running race or a swimming race? What would you say to them to encourage them?
There's a few things really. I think the main two are that no matter where you're starting, I truly believe that anything is possible for sort of anyone. And I
Hmm.
only believe that not through just pure optimism, but from what I've actually seen at these races. And
Yeah.
I constantly see people on the start line. And without sounding mean, I think surely they're not going to finish this. And you see them at the finish line that they've done it. And I honestly believe after doing these races that anything is possible for anyone. So definitely take that at the forefront of your mind. And the second thing is just pick a starting point, and it doesn't really matter where you start, to be honest, because everyone starts somewhere. And I mean, even I started at 5Ks, and now I'm running 100K or whatever. And with skiing, I couldn't even ski more than 10 meters. For example, with kayaking in the marathon racing boats, it took me 3 days just to be able to sit in it because I'd never been in one. That wasn't even to move. And then a month or two later, I was paddling 125 miles. So, yeah, just find a starting point and build from there. I'm quite big on just entering a race. Like, find something that you think is out of your comfort zone, but realistic and could be done. And there's sort of plans online that say you could get to that that level in that amount of time. So something that's realistic, but definitely something that you're slightly a bit anxious about. And then just keep planning them and keep planning them, keep building the distance, and before you know it, you're at ultras, and it really does fly. That time just shoots past, and then next thing you know, everyone's calling you an ultra runner, and you still don't think you are one. But yeah, build slowly, have confidence.
Yeah, I think that's something that I always took to advice when it comes to sports is just, "Hey, you need to start. Just do it. Just
Yeah,
run the race. Just sign up for the race that just sign up for, like, what is it? A 5K, like you said, or even
how,
just run a mile outside. Just start
yeah,
somewhere."
yeah. I feel yeah. I think just start is probably the best
Mhm.
advice you could ever get in any realm of life, isn't it? Even if
Yep.
you're trying to do some benign task that you really don't want to do, just start. And usually, after you've done 2 minutes, you end up doing it for an hour, don't you? Even if you never wanted to do it to start with. So, just start is definitely the phrase of the century.
Yep, yep. Just do it, Nike.
Yeah,
They don't sponsor this podcast, by the way, but it's okay.
no. But if they want to sponsor me at some point, I would love
Yeah.
that.
Well, Jack, thank you so, so much for being on Mindy and the mic. Before I let you go, though, because I know it's like, what is it now? 10 o'clock there,
Yeah,
10:30.
10:30 going on.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna ask you some rapid fire questions.
Go for it.
Okay. Who's the last person that you called?
Architects for
Nice.
an extension of my house.
Mountains or the ocean?
Mountains.
I could guess that one.
Yeah.
Do you listen to music before you pump up for a race?
No, I tend not to actually. Yeah, music has a bit of a bad rap in sort of endurance stuff, and I'm not sure why. I think
Mhm.
it's just because you need all your awareness. So yeah, it doesn't really come in too much in the longer stuff.
Yeah. Every time I hear I like cross country is a big sport in America. Is it in Europe?
Yeah, yeah,
Like just
massive.
running in school?
Mm,
Yeah.
massive.
And like every person that I know that played, well, I guess not, you won't play cross country, but you ran cross country, they don't listen to music. They're like, "No, why would you do that?"
Yeah, it's definitely more of like a kind of team sport or short distance sport thing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, or like you're about to play basketball or football and then you go for it after your pump up song. But
Yeah.
anyway, what is the most underrated endurance sport, do you think?
God, it's gotta be cross country skiing and ice skating. So niche
Mhm.
to only snow covered countries, and I honestly think if everyone had a go at them, there'd be very few who didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. And what's the strangest thing you've eaten while traveling?
I think I tried crocodile once in Thailand, and it was yeah, it was quite horrible. I think it had been on the side of the street a bit long, and it didn't end well.
Oh no. Hopefully you
Yeah.
ate that after your race or I don't want.
After races, this is a bit of a misconception, but after races, I struggle to eat anything, and I've actually noticed that
Oh.
everyone else is the same as well. You would think you'd finish and you'd be straight to Domino's for the biggest meal ever, but after you've done a 20-hour race and you've had like 17 bananas, 20 energy gels, like 30 cheese sandwiches, the last thing you want is to eat anything else, really. So, yeah,
Especially crocodile. I wouldn't
yeah,
want to eat crocodile either.
yeah, no. Maybe during the race if it was going badly, but no.
Well, Jack, thank you again for being on Mindy and the mic. I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, thank you a lot, Mindy, as well. It's been good. Been good talking to you.
Mhm.